A disabled footballer from Salford is calling for disability sport to be given more funding and a higher profile. Peter Harding thinks it's time things improved and has been meeting the region's future football stars to find out why.
I know what you're thinking. I don't look disabled. But take a closer look. When I was 15, I had an accident at home. I nearly died. My heart stopped for 20 minutes. I was left with a permanent brain injury. It affects the left side of my body, which is why I run with a limp. I've also got something called an associated reaction. It means my left arm seizes up. Before my accident, I was a keen footballer. After my brain injury, I assumed I'd never play competitive football again, but I was wrong. I played for Chelsea's disability football team for 5 years. It was an amazing experience. I captained the side when we played in Barcelona. And in 2016 we played in the opening match of Rapid Vienna's new stadium before the Chelsea's first team game in front of 20,000 fans. It was an amazing day, one that I'll never forget, and they had all the fans there, drums banging, everything, shouting all these chants. Played the match, and at the end of it, ran around the pitch, came off, and the Chelsea team went onto the pitch and played their game. Now, we then came home later in the week and looked at the newspaper and it said John Terry plays in Rapid Vienna's opening match, and all these amazing players, played in the opening matches. Nothing about disability football. Again, partly why I want to try and raise the coverage of disability sports, but it was a kind of wake-up call that no one really cares, and it's a sad thing, but no one really cares about disability sport. This is why I set up the campaign called Why Can't We? To try and raise the awareness of disability sports, because there is a lot going on. It just doesn't get the coverage. So I'm going to show you what you're not seeing. I've come to the home of Cerebral Palsy United in Parsington to show you what's happening at grassroots.
Join.
Michelle Wilcock is the lead coach and was one of the founders of the charity in 2014.
Most of what goes on here is voluntary. There's so many volunteers, and if you can look around and see a lot of of our adults from our senior squad who've stayed behind to help. The club isn't just about the football, it's about them as a person and how we can support them as a person, and that's the driver behind being involved really. And the rewards, look at the smiles, they're all improving as footballers, but as people that's what we want to try and impact mostly on.
And CP United has really grown. It now caters for all ages and abilities and has 5 centres across the northwest. You can see for yourself what it means for children like Max.
He's waiting every time for those Mondays to come and go and play football with other kids. And he's building a strength and building more concentration as well. He's able now to kick the ball where first trainings he wasn't being able to do that.
Football's my favourite sport, and I like playing with different people and stuff like that.
What I love about CP United is that disability doesn't matter. They're just enjoying playing football. Cian O'Brien has been playing for CP United for 2 years, and his mum and dad say his self-confidence has really grown as a result.
So good to see him enjoying himself and, not being the only one with a disability, seeing that, there's others around him. It's really good to come and see him.
He's always loved football, and I think, playing for mainstream, that he didn't quite have enough confidence. Now he has a lot more confidence playing football with the other lads. I think obviously having a lot of same, disabilities and so forth. They make you feel really welcome, and he fits in really well.
I've travelled to Nantwich to catch up with the England amputee squad during training. In amputee football, all outfield players use crutches. There are no prosthetic limbs or blades. Goalkeepers have one arm. They are able to use both legs, but they can't leave the area. Other than that, normal rules apply. The England team has enjoyed great success in the recent years. In 2017, the team got to the final of the European Championship in Turkey, where they played against the hosts in front of 42,000 spectators.
it doesn't really get much better than that. And I think the one thing that the atmosphere, you would imagine 42,000 people watching an amputee football game would be quite kind of relaxed and not really energetic, whether it was far from it. It was like walking into a derby in the Turkish Super League. It was huge. They had the flares, they had the flags, they had the banners, they had the whistling for the national anthem. So everything was that intimidating atmosphere that you would experience on a European night in Turkey. And to have that for amputee football, as much as it was a challenge on the night and probably worked in their team's favour, actually to have that experience is incredible, and it'll probably never happen again.
One of the star players of the tournament was England's Jamie Chagaskis, just 22 at the time. Jamie plays for Manchester City's amputee team and has a worldwide following on social media. As a Manchester City Academy youth player, he looked destined for a career as a professional football player. But in 2008, he received devastating news that not only meant the end of his football ambitions, but could have cost him his life.
I had this massive pain in my leg, and then my mum and dad just thought it's like a football injury, I'm doing too much sport, so I just needed a bit of time out, but the pain just weren't going away at all. So I had physios and that weren't doing anything, so then I went for scans and stuff, and got a long story short, I found a shadow on my pelvis, and it turns out that was bone cancer.
After 4 months of chemotherapy, the doctors told him the only way to stop cancer spreading was to amputate his leg. So when I had my brain injury in 2012, and obviously mine was a bit different to yours, where I was kept in a coma for a week, and then I kind of came out of it and realised that I had a disability. Whereas yours, you knew that you were going to lose your leg. How did that feel?
My biggest worry was not being able to play football. So like that was the most upset I've been, because that's the biggest worry. Like I'm 13, my dream's over. I was absolutely devastated, really. So it was depressing, really. I was only a young lad, but I can remember, it was a bit of a dark time, because all my mates was, playing football, and I was like, how am I going to play football with one leg?
But thanks to amputee football, Jamie was able to keep playing. He and the rest of the squad have high hopes when they compete in next year's European finals.
I want us to get bigger and better, just continue, it'd be good to have like World Cups in England, and Euros in England, and having the funding to actually do that, have it in, in front of our own fans and in front of our families, big tournaments. I think that'd be awesome.
So what plans have the FA got for the future of disability football? They declined to take part in the programme, but in a statement, a spokesperson said,
"The FA is passionate about growing disability football in England. We invest £1 million annually into a network of disability football development officers to drive participation. We also develop bespoke disability coaching courses, as well as running the FA Disability Cup finals every summer at St George's Park."
What skill can you show me, Rory? Back in Salford, I finished where I started out on this journey, revealing the difference football can make to the lives of young people who have a disability. Just because you've got a disability, it doesn't mean that you can't play sport, and it doesn't mean that you can't get the headlines and you can't be promoted in the same way. I think that there's a real opportunity for disability football to be promoted with the rising stars that are coming through at the moment, more funding, with more coverage of the sports that are happening. All of this is going to make a real impact, and hopefully one day they'll be covered the same.